So welcome everyone to this last episode of the Being You Book Club. And we've been going for a few months now. Wow. And it's been an amazing, amazing journey. And today we have the author, Dr. Dain Heer, on with us. Welcome.
If you don't know that, it's me, the face. If you ever like tried to put a face to a book, yeah, like that.
And you know, Dain, when we've been exploring these chapters, so many of the things that you're inviting us to in this book is like more relevant like than ever.
I know. Isn't that amazing?
Can you talk a bit about that?
Well, your mind, I mean, if you try to figure it out with your mind just kind of goes splat. Because it's the way consciousness itself works, which is, of course, what all of this is about, is us being able to embrace the consciousness we are. Oh, that was great. It's an honor to be here today. I totally agree. I have the same point of view. I'm very honored to be here with you all. So this is the way consciousness works, though. And part of what we did in writing the Being You book, and I say we because it was me and all kinds of stuff that I said in class, and Katarina and her brilliance, and putting it together and bringing it together in a way that was like reading through like a fairyland of magic, in reality. And but part of what I did in the creation of it is create for the future. One of the things that I always do is create for the future. I don't create for the now. And a lot of people are, they're so focused on the past that they're barely not even here, so they don't create for the future. But this book was written in such a way that it was relevant then, but even more relevant now, because it's also written from the perspective of what would you truly being you, as the conscious being you are, as the infinite being you are, what would be possible then? And yes, I think we have translation in Spanish.
Yeah, we have translation in many languages. Could somebody post all the lines again? Just keep posting them in there.
Yeah, just keep posting all the lines, just because, if they weren't on, they don't have that yet. And so that's the beauty of it, really. And it's so wonderful to, like, I've been listening to the Being You book again on audio. And I mean, I wrote the book, I read the book, it's like, and for me, I listen and I'm like, man, there are things in there that just make me cry as much or more than they did before. But also it's like the friggin' book has changed. I'm like, I remember writing that, but I don't remember writing that. It's so, but this is part of the magic. That's what I love about this book is magic, miracles. It's like, it's magical. And it's this thing that is this consciousness of its own that invites you to open and expand your world and your awareness to, whoa, what if we really are as magical as I always thought I wanted to be and could be?
If we look at like the world as it was when this was written and the world now, would you say it's easier to be us today or harder? Yes. Or both?
Yes, both. It really depends on where, and we talk about this in the little book, where are you going to put your attention and energy? You have a podcast, and it's based on which wolf are you going to feed, the wolf of possibilities or the wolf of despair, because both of them are more accessible than they've ever been before. And it's awesome, except when you're feeding the wolf of yuck, stuck, and what the fuck, and then you're like, oh, I hate that wolf. It keeps biting my butt. And it's like, well, stop feeding it, dum-dum. Choose something else, because the choices for possibility are more available than they've ever been before. And so to a certain extent, what I would say is that the yuck and the stuck and the heaviness was always highly available no matter where you would look. Well, now the possibilities are even more available than that. We've just been doing the yuck, the stuck, and the heaviness for so long that possibilities is something that we have to train ourselves to choose. And that's also one of the gifts of the book, because it starts opening up your awareness to that. But also, as you read through it, you get to the end and it's like, you're a different person, somebody you like more. I can't tell you the number of emails and messages I've received from people who say, thank you so much. I was going to kill myself. I thought I was all alone and I didn't know what to do. And then I read this book and it's like, wow, I'm not. Somebody's as weird as I am, and somebody actually gets it. I'm like, I know, that's why I wrote the book. For all of us who are that different, and like, hey, here's a weird path to get more of you.
And one of the things I realized, because we called the last chapter the beginning, and it, like what you just said, it is the beginning, because you start there and then you get to the end and then you're a different person, and that's the beginning of everything that comes after. And every time I read the book, it's like a new beginning. Every time so would you talk a little bit about how the end is the beginning, like for us and the world? And
well, every end is actually just a new beginning. It's very arbitrary where we decide the end is and the beginning is, because the world is in continuous movement and change, and it functions very much like a wave. As you'll notice if you read the book, it's like this wave of energy. Well, it's how the world actually works. So, are you going to call the top of the wave the beginning, or is that the end, or is it maybe the bottom of the wave is the end, which starts a new beginning? Depends on where you look. And we tend to make endings very significant. Endings. I don't want this relationship to end, even though I've hated this person for the past 27 years and I've been unhappy since I've been with them, but I don't want it to end. Excuse me. What I found is everything you let go of creates a greater possibility in your life. And true freedom is the willingness, not the necessity, but the willingness to lose anything or anyone, including our definition of endings and what that means. Because as we point out in the book, your point of view creates your reality. So when you have the point of view that ending is bad, you are avoiding it rather than having gratitude for it. I can't tell you the number of people I've worked with on relationships when it's so interesting, because that is one of the big endings that people avoid like the fucking plague. And I can't tell you the number of people that I've worked with where I would say to them, so have you done what you came to do? And they go, what? I'm like, yeah, relationships are not meant to last forever. They are meant to be created every single day. And when you're done with what you've created, if there's nothing else for you two to create together based on who you are, who, what, where, when, why, and how you are right now, and what you'd like as your life and what you'd like to choose, then perhaps you're done. And the number of times people have gone, oh my God, thank you. That is a level of peace that I never realized I could have. And I said, well, cool. So can you now be grateful for everything you've experienced with this person and in this relationship, and be grateful that you've gotten each other to a far greater space of being? And now what would you like to choose? Now, here's the interesting part. About 40% of those people realized it and they went, oh, this relationship is over. And they then re-upped because they realized they'd done what they came to do together. So they were like, well, what else can we do together? I actually like you. I don't want to be without you. We've just been trying not to let end what was. And then about 60% of them ended up breaking up and moving on. But it's interesting to see that those 40% started creating really awesomely together in a way they hadn't been able to before. That's what happens when we don't resist the ending. We can be grateful for it, see what it is, but then what is the new beginning that this invites us to?
And what you're talking about too. So yesterday we actually did the last chapter before this chapter. So chapter 15, which is about leadership. And one of the things that the whole conversation started to like move into this. Okay, so if I'm willing to be a leader without followers, then I have to be alone. Or do I? Or is that actually required? And so could you talk a little bit about what it actually means to lead without needing followers?
Yeah. So you mentioned the word we need to address, which is need.
Mm.
A true leader does not function from need. They function from their awareness, and they don't need anybody else to get it. They don't need anybody else to validate them. They don't need anybody else to go on the journey. They don't even need it to work out, because they realize that could have just been something that they got as an awareness to start them in a direction. And now there's something totally different possible they wouldn't have gotten to had they not started in that direction. So a true leader can also have somebody in their life, and have many somebodies in their life, but they don't do it from the need of those people. They do it from, these people are contributing to where I would like to go in my life and where I'd like to go in the world. And they do it from, we can contribute to each other, creating more together than we could apart. And so a true leader also is willing to be the inspiration, but they don't need to be the star.
And it is funny because it's the Being You book, and we've explored every area of living in that book, like relationship, abuse, sex, like all of it is in there. And that's the last chapter of the actual exploration of living. And reading it, I'm like, but you can't even be you if you're not willing to be a leader.
That right there. You can't even be you if you're not willing to be a leader. Because you have to be willing to be so different than normal people. You have to be willing to be so different that it initially seems scary to be that different. Which, as you know, if you read the book, fear is usually excitement. Anyway, we think it's scary to be that different. But here's the thing about all of this that nobody ever tells us on this journey is, in this case, for example, the willingness to be you, to be the leader and be as different as you are, initially seems really scary and it's really uncomfortable. And so most people avoid it because they've learned to live in the stable of the normal, average, real, and comfortable, and the same as everyone else. But if you should embrace it, and if you should embrace any of these elements that we talk about in the book or that consciousness presents to you, initially, it may seem so uncomfortable because it's so different. It seems alien to us, except it's us embracing the alien we are, but that's a story for another time. But what happens is it goes in a very short amount of time. It goes from totally uncomfortable to totally miraculous in a way you never could have had before, in a way you never could have experienced. And one of the things I've been encouraging people to do lately is to take one thing that makes you totally uncomfortable every single day and do it, and run toward the discomfort rather than away from it. Because beyond the discomfort and running through the discomfort, you can't avoid it and get there. Running through the discomfort is where you are. And beyond that, there are dragons called you.
And that discomfort comes up, I think, in every single chapter. We've talked about discomfort and the willingness to be discomfortable. There's no, it's like that's the gate to being you, the willingness to actually look at it. And the other thing that's come up a lot is, if you're willing to look at what really is, that's how you can change it. So could you talk a little bit about that and being you? Like, what does it mean to look at what really is? Like, is that what you are right now? Is that what you could be? Is that what you have been?
That's a great question, because what most people have the point of view, well, my eyes are open, therefore I must be being me. I woke up today, I must be being me. Except, how much of your day do you have a sense of lightness and enthusiasm and gratitude and joy and a sense of desiring to create? And how much of your day do you have oh God, I wish I could go back to bed, I don't like this hurts, this is stuck, rah, 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 all the stuff. Looking at what is gives you a lightness, because what's true always makes you lighter. We start with that. What's true always makes you lighter. A lie always makes you heavier. So when you're actually looking at what is, you have a sense of lightness, which is just kind of like where things are just like, okay, that's cool. I'm cool. I'm good. All right. Kind of like that. And what happens is we live in a world where most people are so committed to trying to create the perfect image that will get them everything they've decided they desire and that the image will give them, that they spend most of their energy avoiding themselves and avoiding what's true for them. And so looking at what is the willingness to, once again, see what is for you in a situation, see what your choice would be. And then, but here's the thing is, the only way to actually have that as our lives and actually to find out what it is we've got to choose according to that. This is one of the crucial missing elements is people have this idea, they'll come to Access or, for example, or do something that's about getting more awareness. And they'll then go, okay, I'm going to figure it all out up here. I'm going to figure it all out. I'm going to figure out everything that's true for me. And then my life is going to be awesome. And I'm never going to have to choose anything until I have the perfect choice in my head. And I'm going to figure out everything that's true for me in my head by thinking, by looking, by processing, by doing all kinds of stuff that involves only my head and nothing else. So don't ever have to choose until I have the perfect choice available, and you'll get new information and you'll use it to add more to your computer program that you are using to run your mind rather than institute it, choose. The only way you're really going to find out what's true for you is to choose. The only way you're really going to find out what's true for you is to choose. And what do I mean? Choose according to what your reality is. And when you choose against it, choose again for it. Like, for example, with my friend Gary, we used to have this thing back and forth about money, because I grew up in a family where money was the biggest problem you could have. And so I carried it into my friendship with my best friend, Gary Douglas. We're both very much consciousness seekers. And yet money was the problem, not me. Gary and money were the problem, just so you know. So what would happen is he would do, he'd be like, hey, I spent all this money, by the way. And I'm like, great, half of that was mine. Thank you. And I would get pissed off and upset and whatever. But it never made me lighter, ever. And for a few years I did that, but I was like, I'm right. And I used it to create separation, which is what we do also, because we have a difficulty we think we're going to have a difficulty if we get too close to somebody because we won't be able to get away. So we create comfortable distance by our judgments and our points of view. That's not really being us, because we as an infinite being would be able to have communion, which is absolutely no separation with everyone and everything. Ponder that for just a moment. You can't. Your mind can't fathom it. But for the briefest of moments, as soon as I said it, your awareness went, whoa. And then your mind went, no, no. But I'll tell you what, I'm going to think about that for a while. I'll let you know about 25, 28, maybe 29 years from now. I'll tell you when I've figured out the computation that will allow that to work without you actually having to be vulnerable and maybe being hurt at some point as a result of it. Okay. But in the moment, you got the communion with everyone and everything. Well, one of the ways of getting there is choosing things that that make you lighter, number one. And when they don't, choose again. So finally, after a few years of being heavy, every time Gary would ask me something about money or ask for money or ask me to pay for something, I started going, wait a minute. Okay, that made me heavy. My response, my energetic response was, and I went, wait a minute, that made me heavy. I started using the tools and pod and pocking it and asking questions like, what else is possible here? And then the question that really set me free was, wait, if I were truly being me, how would I be? What would I choose? And how would I like to be right now that I'm not allowing myself to be? Which was a new thing that I hadn't explored before. And I went, oh my God, okay, if I were truly being me, part of that was mental. And I'm like, wow, I wouldn't be this yucky, mean, penurious person. And then I went, how would I like to be? Which is a great question because it doesn't put it on you that you have to be it. It's like, how would I like to be? Like, hey, no pressure. How would I like to be? Which is a great way of you getting to choice. How would I like to be? Not, you must be this if you have the awareness. And I went, how would I like to be? And I was like, oh my God, I'd like to be like, there you go, have more money. Have fun, like buy other stuff, like spend some more. I got more coming in. Are you kidding? No problem. Spend all you want, brother. Go for it. And what's funny is by asking how would I like to be, I started getting a lot more that way.
And you're enjoying that way more, can I just say?
Can you tell? Right? Isn't it totally different? You're like, wow. That's more us, though. That's us. That's the lightness of us. And when you're more animated, you're more alive. You know, it's just that. And one of the other things about this is we have to realize that we have almost, excuse me, I have little bugs in my face. We have to realize that we have been given so little permission to be us as we have grown up in this world. In fact, we have been told that we should not be us and all of that. And so this thing about being us is we can only look at some elements of our past where we really were like, wow, this is awesome. I love being alive right now. Those are the greatest times where we were truly being us. But moving forward, we can use this, how would I like to be, and realize that if you don't have a sense of you, that's what the book is about, is undoing all the places where you bought other points of view and don't have a sense of you, so you can actually be you and change the world. Oh my God, what a title. Hello.
You know what's coming up when you're talking about this is one of the major tools we have in the book is called the magic wand, which is the Access Consciousness Clearing Statement. And one of the things we talk about there is how it can't, like, it won't uncreate and destroy your being. And still, I would say a lot of people won't let the clearing statement change everything it can, because they're still like defending their whatever they call their being. So could you dive into that a little bit, if it's time now? Oh, he froze. He literally froze. So let's use it. So everywhere that question made Dain freeze, let's uncreate and destroy all of that. Everyone is online. It looks so funny. Right and wrong, good and bad, pot, puck, all nine shorts, boys, poets, and beyonds. Okay, let's see if he's going to come back. This is interesting. Now it's just me.
Just you.
No, you're back. Yay!
Yeah. No, I tell you, man, I have the fastest internet in the world. And no, it's been messing up lately. And I'm like, when this happens, this is the time where I need to use these tools, because I want to kill someone. Okay. Now, here's the thing. So let's go through and use our clearing statement.
Yes.
Or our how we're going to keep Dain from actually killing the rest of the equipment statement. Okay. So one of the things you can do is everything that is, destroy and uncreate it. And we added this thing called POVADs to the clearing statement. Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys, POVADs, and beyonds. And there's a new thing called emotional POVADs, which is anytime you get like really, it's the energetic, like the emotional stuckness we get, and the like, oh my God, I thought they loved me, or I love this place and I can't go, and I love to travel, but I can't because the world is locked down. And emotional POVADs, okay? They're emotional points of view that you're avoiding and defending, and that hold this thing in place, and we cling to those. So all of the emotional POVADs and the literal POVADs, which are the other points of view that I'm avoiding and defending right now, I now rescind, revoke, recant, reclaim, renounce, denounce, destroy, and uncreate it all. Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys, POVADs, and beyonds. So there's the clearing statement.
So
what was your question?
So yeah, I realized I need to. So my question, we talk about that you don't have to worry. You're not going to destroy and uncreate your being by mistake by using the clearing statement. So could you talk a little bit about that? That was my question.
Okay. See, I knew I had to get my desire to kill out of the way first. Otherwise I would kill the internet. Maybe for everyone. Anyway, the deal, here's the funny part is, it's like we are unwilling to destroy. We've been taught that destruction is so bad.
Mm.
And what's so funny is the humanoids of the world, the seekers of the world, the people that this book was written for, that are reading the book, they would never destroy in a manner to create less. They would only destroy limitation. And also, they're continuously trying to destroy themselves so they don't destroy other people, because they have this inherent sense that if they get too much power, they're going to be hurtful to others. So when we say we destroy and uncreate, some people are like, no, I can't. I get it. But as Katarina said, your being cannot be destroyed. Your being is. And the idea that our being can be destroyed is one of the biggest lies that we've ever bought, and it limits us dynamically. So what this beautiful clearing statement does, what this magic wand does, is it destroys what's limiting you, destroys your fixed points of view about who, what, where, when, why, and how you are and can be and can't be, and your emotional povads and your everything you're avoiding and defending, all your stuck places and all this stuff. It destroys everything that keeps you from being that brilliant, shining, miraculous creature that you are. That's what it destroys. So when we say we destroy and uncreate, your being actually gets to get more on, more present, more here.
That, and it's like it takes away everything you put on top of your being so it can't get out. It's
Yeah,
like locked
exactly.
in there under all of it. Another thing that you talk a lot about in this chapter is kind of like a theme for the chapter, is that now is the time. And lately or recently, you've started to talk about now is the space. Could you talk a little bit about the difference between?
You're gonna make me cry here, because even now is the time when that came out. I was doing this group energetic thing that I do called an ESC, stands for Energetic Synthesis of Communion. And it was done with this big group of people in Italy, in Pescara. And right before it, there was this energy of, I was thinking I was freaking out. I was like, what is going on? There was something that was so big that I knew I was about to step into. I'm like, I need to go do this thing now. And so I did this ESC, and what came out continuously, which is a lot of the wording in the last part of the last chapter, is now is the time, over and over and over. And it became very clear to me, and also everybody who was there, that now is the time. It's time to open the doors of consciousness. It's time to access our being. It's time to be the power that we are. Now is the time. Now is our time. And so from that point, for many, many years, because the book's been out for 11 years, and this was before the book was written. And many years I've been telling people, now's the time, as a way of going, guys, wake up, now's the time. And when I would say it, whether they would get it cognitively or not, their world would go, oh, okay, let's start the process of getting more conscious. It was so beautiful. And then at the end of 2021, I was doing another energetic session, big ESB sessions, which is the basis of the book, basically. And what came out was, now is the space. And I thought to myself, I did this wrong. But it came up again, now is the space, because what I do is I speak to the energy that is available in that moment with all these people, and with their connection to the universe, if you will, whatever you want to call it, consciousness. And when now is the space showed up over and over and over, and I went, wow. And I just got this sense of, now is the time got us to massive change, but now is the space is actually where we function. We function as the speed of space. We function as the space of possibilities. We function as that. That is us. And the sense was, things are going to become so much greater and so much easier for us. The people that are choosing more consciousness, basically anybody who's choosing more consciousness. And it became such a such a sense of something where rather than in order to create something or actualize it, you'd be like, okay, I'm going to start here and I got to walk on this line and do all these things. Rather than going along a timeline to get somewhere, you could go in space and go, oh, I'm there. And we're just beginning to scratch the surface of that instantaneous actualization that we're actually capable of.
And in the other episodes, I've been asking people to read a part of the book. Would you be willing to read part of that? Now is
heck yeah.
And what it is today.
I'm looking on my Kindle here. I should probably just grab this.
Maybe easier.
Oh yeah, going old school, kids. Got to move my microphone a little bit. Daddy's mic was in the way. I wonder, be really funny. Where you do that thing of you just open to a page, which it's so funny with this particular book. I've done that so many times, where you just open to a page and you're like, yeah, I did open to the page of Bring Everything On. I just want to acknowledge that, by the way.
It's really been, the book club episode has been like that. They come perfectly. Consciousness has this impeccable sense of timing. So every chapter shows up right when it should show up.
True. I want to read this whole chapter, but I don't know that we should, but goodness. Okay. Actually, I'm going to.
You do whatever you like.
Oh, I will. Thank you. I like it. You're so kind, and you're like, I give you permission, and we both know
you have permission.
We both know that nobody needs to give me permission.
We really both know that, which is why it's funny.
I know, I love it, and I appreciate it. Oh, yay. So perfect after my foundation this weekend. Yay. And hello to your little one, Nisha, little Nisha. Okay. So I'm going to start and then go to the part that I was talking about. So this is almost the end of the book and the beginning of something completely different. If you choose it, please know, no one can choose for you. You are the creator of your life. The only thing standing in the way of you is you. We've looked at many areas of this book, and we've cleared much of what may have been standing in the way of you stepping into being you. Your awareness is increased, whether you know it cognitively or not. Your potency is increased, whether you know it cognitively or not. Your capacity to receive has increased, whether you know it cognitively or not. If you allow it, it will continue to do so. If you ask for it and use the tools you've so generously put in your path. And make no mistake about it, it is a process. It is being you changing the world. Bring Dain the tissues. Okay. So here are your marching orders, my friend. And I hope you get them psychically, because I may be crying too much to read them to you. Maybe I will sing them to you like the Queen. Okay. You are a gift, the likes of which the world has never seen before. It's irrelevant who you thought you were before you got here. You are you, something far greater than anyone has ever seen. Now is the time. And space. I'm adding that if you didn't notice. You can fight it, you can hide from it, but you'll never again be able to avoid it. Even if the world never changed, don't you know you have a different life to live? Now is the time. Now is the space. Anything you ever felt left out of, you are not left out of this. You've been demanding change while refusing it just as much. So you take tiny steps forward instead of quantum leaps. Now is the time and space for a difference. Everything you thought was you is not enough. You are far greater than anything you could think. You're an energy of being that has never been seen before. Now's the time to be it, to embody it, to receive the possibilities that go beyond this reality. to step into such allowance of you in everything, such potency, such joy, that you become the difference the world has been asking for. Now is the space. Ooh, I like that even better.
Yeah.
Ooh. We have an earth around us that is getting sicker. We have a world that needs us, not just our families, not just our friends, not just our city, state, or country. The world requires what we know, what we each know, that we've been hiding from everyone, including us. Now is the time for your knowing to awaken, for your knowing that goes beyond what this reality is, to the being that you know is possible. Now is the space where we unlock the knowing that you've hidden from everyone, including you. Now is the space where we unlock the consciousness of you as you truly be. You knew we would get to this point and this moment and this day. You knew. Will you acknowledge that, please? You knew the time would come to step into being the acoustic you, the being that is beyond definition and beyond judgment, beyond caring about the limited points of view of this reality, the being you've done your best to hide from for 4 trillion years. Now is the space, and we are the keys. Let us unlock everything that would allow you to now be. What if being were something totally different than anyone has ever decided it would be? What if you could let go of your definition of self, your definition of separation, your definition of judgment, and everything that defines you as less than the oneness you be? How many of you know you want just a slightly better version of this reality? What if that were not enough for you? What if you know everything has to change? But what if it were easy and spacious? What if it were not change as this reality tells you is necessary? What if it were change from a totally different place? What do you know that you've been pretending not to know for a very long time? What are you that you've been pretending not to be for a very long time? Are you willing to know it and be it now? Because, my friend, it takes all of us. We all have the stories of our lives, the reason we can and cannot choose from our justified point of view. What if that were all crap? What if we created a totally different source for reality? What if you know what that is, have known what that is for a very, very, very long time? Now is the space to reawaken it. Here we are together again. Different bodies, different creations that we call our lives. Here we are together again to change, to create change, to generate it and institute it, something we do very, very well. Now is the space to unlock the doors you personally came here to unlock. Now is the space to unlock the doors together that we came here to unlock, whatever they be. Now is the space to open the door to being totally acoustic, to acknowledge our capacities, our abilities, and that our very being is the destruction of everything limited. Now is the space. You have far too much joy to bring the world to allow yourself to be mired in the sadness. And if you haven't known it, it's only because you perceive so much of the sadness the world around you chooses. It's only because the world around you makes the sadness more real than the joy you know is possible. And it's only because you've hidden it underneath mountains of other people's realities, believing that if you allowed it to be seen, it could be crushed or destroyed. But nothing, anything, or anyone has ever done could truly destroy it, because you're here right now. Now is the space to awaken that joy. We require it. The earth requires it. The universe requires it and begs us to have the courage to open that difference up called joy that we be. Now is the space. What change will the earth request of us? Step into all the potency you've ever mustered or considered possible, and then go beyond it and gift change to the earth for whatever it requires, because it, as you, knows. Are you willing to step into being the tsunami of consciousness, an acoustic wave that changes everything in its path, that goes wherever it chooses, knows exactly where it must go, and doesn't allow anyone or anything to stop it ever again? Now is the space. Space for the gentle potency we be, the intensity of potency that we be, the difference called potency that we be, that is the change the world has been asking for. You are that which allows consciousness to be. You knew and asked that this demand be made on you. In fact, it's a demand that you placed on yourself, a request and an insistence. Now is the space as you have requested. Allow everything you know to come into being. My friend, I don't necessarily know what it is that exists in a completely different world. I just know it's completely different. Welcome to your completely different world. Wow.
You know, as you read that, I also, it's like that person that we were when we wrote this book, that it's like it's there and yet not, like it's
wow.
Time literally disappeared.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was that was wonderful. Thank you for that.
Thank you. That was beautiful. There's just gratitude pouring in the thread over there.
Thank you all. And I want to thank Cass, who translated it also. It was such a gift. It's so... It
has a murmur of a voice, like a bass.
Yeah. It's so beautiful to, like the book itself, it's like, there's certain things that just, are going to change reality, and yeah, that, and I think for me, that's one of the greatest invitations I would like to be for people is that, and letting them know that that is them too. And we are together and we got this. We are not alone. And this more than ever is a space that is available for us to actually access every source of contribution that's available.
And over the past decade, it's become a class and a series and a program of facilitators that go all around the world. And we created this day that is actually on this Sunday. Do you want to talk about the day just a little bit?
Oh, it's a day. Boy, is it a day. We
the day of God.
This is the day that being you made. I will not sing anymore. You're welcome. It is a 24-hour adventure of being you. And last year's Being You Day was such an amazing gift of showing people the gift of vulnerability and presence, and exploring the difference that they are and their weirdness, their uniqueness. And this day is already turning out to be a phenomenal contribution in that regard to people. And so, it starts on Australasia time, because they tend to get left out. They tend to always start a day later because they're a day earlier or something. And but if you go to the Being You Day website, we've also got a Telegram chat, which is, where people are putting in their things about being them and what they're doing and contributions to people and joyful reverie. And beingyouday.com is where you go. And I'll be doing a live streamed event at 1 p.m. Houston time, and doing what I can to contribute also.
And even if you can't join on specifically this Sunday, that website is still there. You can go and you can play with the 24-hour challenges. You can be part, like listen to the live that Dain is doing. And one of the things I wanted to mention when it comes to these, like the day, is that one of the most magical things about this book is how it reaches all over the world. It doesn't care about religions. It doesn't care about borders. It doesn't really care about specific cultural, ways that people live their life. It goes everywhere. And the other day you did a live with somebody from Iraq and just talked about consciousness and being you. So this thing where this book and the idea of being you and consciousness goes everywhere. Could you talk a little bit about that before we end?
I think you just said it and gave the energy of it brilliantly, because it does. It's so beyond the right and wrong that permeates the world we live in. And it is such a beautiful movement throughout the world. And like you said, it doesn't matter your country, your religion, your sex, your color, your culture, whatever. And that is consciousness, our definition of consciousness, where everything exists and nothing is judged. And it really is that gift. And so the Being You Day is about that, the Being You book about that, all of consciousness is about that. And here we are. How did we get so lucky to live in a time that is, for the first time ever since this reality's existed, awakening consciousness, where consciousness doesn't get swallowed up by polarity, where judgment doesn't win. And I know, a lot of what people see out there in the world looks like it's getting worse, but once again, what wolf are you feeding? May look like it's getting worse, and people think it's getting worse, and I see it getting so much greater underneath where it can't be stopped. I see consciousness going in, like in friggin' every molecule, and being the secret agent of possibilities. And people don't even realize it's happening. We're finally creating possibilities not based on polarity. We're finally creating not based on polarity, not based on positive, negative, good or bad, right or wrong. It's like, this is, and it's happening. So, were you doing a little boudoir shoot there, kid? What's going on?
My computer is saying it's running out of battery.
Out of battery.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. So if you're wondering what I'm doing, I'm like, that would not be good right now. Sorry.
I just have to read this comment. During the difficult nights, I hug this book and I sleep, and it passes through with ease. Oh, thank you. It's an energy that's always contributing. Thank you for that. Some of the greatest gifts I've ever received are the feedback about what this book has contributed to people. And well, Katarina entertains you. I'll keep talking. And the consciousness has a lot of ways to get into your awareness, get into your hands. And and this relaxing space is the space that we are. And
now when I have power, when you were talking about how consciousness is winning, but it goes the polarity, that is also one of the reasons why people don't notice it, because it's not a fight. It's not like we're not winning by them losing.
Yep.
It's something completely different. Wow.
Yeah. And wow, that was a beautiful comment. She said, wow. She said, thank you. I was wanting to give up this morning, but now I see possibilities. Yay. That really is that thing where everyone is a winner. We're not winning by them losing. So beautifully put. And look at just that for a moment. You don't have to make them lose to come out with a totally different world. It's like, wow, welcome to our world. And that's actually exactly what is going on. It's exactly what is happening now. What an amazing gift.
I think maybe that's where we end.
Yeah. And can somebody put the Telegram chat in there, please?
Let's put the Telegram chat for the Being You Day.
Somebody did. It's t.me/Being You Day.
And we'll put it also on the replay page, and
it'll be everywhere.
Katarina,
I'd like to thank you for doing this Being You Book Club. and all the wonderful people that have contributed. What a beautiful gift.
It has been one of the most amazing journeys that I've been on this spring, and it's contributed to everything else that's been changing. So don't reread the book. Like, really, don't do it. Don't ever pick it up again once you finished it.
And don't get it on audio.
Don't get it on audio. Don't have it on your Kindle like Dain has.
Don't have it on your Kindle. Don't do it.
Now,
also, I want to acknowledge the Being You certified facilitators who do Being You classes all around the world, because they, take this message and run with it, and it's beautiful. I just want to say thank you to all of you guys.
And if you want to meet some of them, they were also guests on this book club, a lot of them. So you could jump on and listen to some of the conversations we had about the previous chapters, and you could meet some of the Being You facilitators. And they do classes in all languages as well. So
yes.
Yeah.
Whew.
Thank you, Dain. This was amazing.
And thank you all. See you
So
soon,
grateful.
beautiful people. Now is the space.
Now is the space. Bye.
Bye-bye.